Raymond, I just saw a new top fuel dragster that you put together right there and that Preston used to drive. Can you tell me how that kind of came about, or what made you decide to do this, put this car back together?
Well, Bill, you know, we talked about it for a long time, and you know, I had that Roadster parts, that 2017 Roadster sitting out in the backyard for about 40-something years, and just in parts and wheel wells, and had just a no cover in the shop, and all the other parts laying out there. We had sold the chassis, but we still had some wheels and a lot of motor parts for the 392, and we started that back in about 1996 or 97, gathering parts with the idea to put that back together, just to have it around the shop and put it in the showroom, swap out the cars, the funny cars, my 32 Roadster, because it makes sales and people like to see the different applications of how brake lines are done or how air conditioning deals done, and it just helps make sales.
But you had some of the parts. You had some of the parts of that old car, right?
Oh, I had a lot of the parts. Had blocks and cranks and pistons, and had to buy a few things like manifold. Had to get a blower, injectors that I had sold on the thing. And we just started working on the body to build a chassis. My buddy Jim Nelson is a Dragmaster chassis, and Jim and Dode still had a print of the chassis, and they sent it to me, and we started fabricating it to put it back together. Randy McGee started on it, and then he changed some things in his work, and didn't do it for a while, so we let it sit for a year or so, and then we got in touch with a boy by the name of Buddy Bonner that had done some stuff for me before, and he said he'd like to work on it, try to get it together. And at that time we made some arrangements to start getting some tubing and getting the jig squared away and all that type of stuff, where we
Well, where was the body? Did you find the body somewhere?
no, the body was laying in the backyard for all these years. I mean, it was all apart, it was a bunch of junk.
40-something years?
40-something years laid out in the backyard by the telephone pole. The kids played in it in the summertime, used it for sled sliding up and down the hills and all that type of stuff. But the wheel wells was aluminum, and the body's fiberglass, which that made a lot of difference on it before it just rusted away. And we started doing it. I ran into a buddy of mine up the street, Rob Taylor, who has Apex Collision deal, and he was down here one day and he saw it, and he said, "Well, Raymond, you know, I'm tired of just doing this same old body work on it." He said, "Let me work on that fiberglass for you." He said, "I think I can make it look good, and it'll be something different, and I'd like to fool with it." So he got it and kept it about 4 or 5 months, and did a great job of putting it back together and patching holes and all that type deal. Then we got the chassis built. Rob did the paint work, put it back original red. We had a lot of pictures on the thing where we could duplicate what we had, and talked to Iskandarian, provided the fifth cycle cams for me for so many years, and he sent me a new cam, and we talked, and we had to create decals and all that type of stuff to get it going, and it took several years, and we got it back together, turned out beautiful. And along that time, the hot rod reunions within HRA were beginning to get real prominent, and we said, well, you know, why don't we think about doing that? And they said they're going to start this deal up at Bowling Green, which is close by. And as a result of it, it created some interest, and just got involved and talked to my people in HRA, and they had the first hot rod reunion up at Bowling Green. I believe it's 2003, and we got the Roadster together and took it up there, and I was an honoree on this deal. They have 7, 8, 10 honorees that they do background stuff on to help create interest in putting a program to build a program around. And we got the roadster together. Had to do a lot of pushing on the tail end, but we got it together at that time and had a nice show, and it was a very nice program that ended up with some nice cars and seeing a lot of your old friends that you hadn't seen in a lot of years. And when we got through with that, we just still had the funny car sitting around and hadn't been worked on, taken apart or anything, but just sitting in the shop or in the showroom. And we decided to, the next year, to pull it down a little bit. Didn't have to do a lot of work to it. We never had even drained the oil out of it. So we drained the oil out of it. The first thing came out was nitro. Got rid of that and decided to take the pan off and heads off, push the pistons out, and looked at it. It was in good shape. So we put some new rings in it, did a valve job, put it together, fired it up, did a good job, sounded good. And that year we, Preston and I took it to Bowling Green for the Cackle Fest with the...
Took the funny car by itself, I think.
Right, just took the funny car, and it, it takes a lot of time, trouble to get up there and do all that, but we really had a lot of fun. And we had really been looking for parts of the Top Fuel car. That was Preston's favorite car, I think, along the line. The Roy Fiesta SPE car, we had two of his cars that started out in 1968, and I guess we got the second one in 70, probably 70, a little longer chassis and changes up. And ran it for a couple of years before the funny cars became real prominent, and you could get more money for funny cars than you could. Nobody wanted to pay for the Top Fuel car, so everybody changed to the funny car division. So we followed along. One year, as we changed, we ran both classes. We had a tilt-up Dodge, and then we still had the box for the dragster. So we just decided we'd run both of them that year, and then we learned right fast that that's hard to do and an awful lot of work and expense, and you just can't hardly do it. But we did it that year, and then we ran a few more years with the funny car, but we still continued to look for parts on that Top Fuel car. As time went,
How did you find out where the car was or any part? Did Preston come up with that, or?
Well, we had talked about it in the last year or so, and Preston had the hots to get that car put back together, and we all just kept looking, talking to people like Will Banks and Cosma, and we called some of our Cajun buddies down in New Orleans. This year at Gainesville, when we were down there introducing Lanati into the Grotlitz's International Drag Racing Hall of Fame deal, I got a phone call the next night, and Preston said, "You're not going to believe what I've just found and have checked out." I was out at Rip Wiley's last night working on his motor, and Will Banks and several of them were around there and got talking about it, and Eddie said, "Well, I think I know the guy that knows the guy that's got that car." Well, we thought all the time that it had been cut up and made into a barbecue pit that Sam Toombs had. When we found this information, and Preston talked to the guy that had the car and said that he cut it apart and sold the parts he didn't want to Sam Toombs for a barbecue pit, and that he had cut the front end off of it, the torsion, tie rods, drag link, steering, gearbox, and the seat, the original seat that was in there that had the SEMA sticker on it that certified that it was the original authentic car. Then we got real interested in, Preston did some more research, some more calling, and some more talking, and Preston went down and talked to the man, trying to see about buying the car. The man wasn't interested in selling it. Don said no, that he just wasn't interested in doing anything like that, but that he knew the interest and the importance of us getting this car back together. As a result of that, he told Preston, he said, you can take any part off of this car that was on y'all's original car and put something back on it to make it work. I'll be delighted to help, donate, provide parts that were original, that mean so much to y'all and your product.